Yo, it's been quite a while since I've done one of these bad boys. But you know what they say when lightning strikes or something like that. I mean, geez, the last time you guys saw me on a video, I think I was quite a bit chunkier than I am now. I'm checking out the somewhat of a jawline, bro. It's been a minute. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to turn the camera on real quick and share a bit of an insight that I've had recently, or something that's been playing on my mind. Apologies if you hear the wind blowing and stuff. Like I said, this is very off the cuff. I wanted to just get it off my chest and share something with you that I believe is beautiful in its simplicity, you know, because if I'm being honest, I think lately I've been doing a lot of reading and a lot of studying into, you know, spirituality and awareness and non-duality teachings and mindfulness. And, you know, as many of you are probably on the same path as me, I'm sure you can relate to this fact that maybe you're a perfectionist and you really want to attain this whole thing called enlightenment and mindfulness, and you want to become more present in your life, and you want to just become the best version of yourself, but you want to do it in a holistic way, not by adding onto yourself materially or successfully, even though those things are great. I'm sure you're at the stage of your evolution now where you realize that those things aren't the only things of importance, right? And it's all about what's going on inside of you, inside your mind, inside your heart, and just how you feel in your inner world on a day-to-day basis. And so if you're like me, you probably do a lot of these books and teachings, and you read Eckhart Tolle and Rupert Spira and all the guys that have their 2 cents to add to the whole conversation on mindfulness. And like I said, if you're anything like me, you might get a little bit overwhelmed, right? A lot of this stuff can be contradictory. Some teachings go this way, some go that way, and it just becomes this whole minefield, which is not what we want, right? We want to be mindful. We want to be present and one with the universe, I guess. That sounds a bit airy-fairy, but we want to become more mindful and present, right? As Eckhart Tolle would put it, we want to become one with awareness, with our inner being, so that we can fully enjoy this game of life and be present throughout the entire experience. The problem, like I said, is that we get very much in the analytics or the analysis. So for me, I literally have step-by-step programs, right? I'll say to myself, okay, step 1, take a deep breath and relax the body. Step 2, clear my mind. Step 3, let go of the inner energies inside of me, right? And even though these things are very helpful, and they can be helpful, especially when your emotions are high and you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, I'm not saying these things have no use. What I am saying is that sometimes we get too caught up in the mind stuff, which again is the opposite of what we're trying to achieve with mindfulness and spirituality and all that good stuff. We want to become less of the mind and more of the being, okay? And I thought about it a lot in the last few months, and I realized that I've been reading too many books and I've been thinking too much, and I need to actually get out of my head. And for the first time yesterday, it kind of clicked for me, or I realized something that was so simple, but it just worked, okay? And maybe this will work just as well for you as it's worked for me. And so just to give you a little bit of context, I don't want this video to be too long. I was out with a group of my friends. We were at a friend's birthday, surrounded by a bunch of amazing people, but for some reason, I felt very anxious, I felt nervous, I felt very overwhelmed by the situation. And all of a sudden, I went from being out here in the world to whoop, back in my mind, thinking, okay, how do I impress these people? How do I get them to like me? You know, how do I relax? How do I like regain my awareness and become chilled and just enjoy the experience? Because I realized, like, logically, on a fundamental, like, theoretical level, that this whole life is a game, and it doesn't really matter in the end, you know, whether people like me or not, or whether I act like a fool or things go wrong or right. It's just a game meant to be experienced and enjoyed. That's the whole point of this whole game of life, as the channel is aptly named. But then I realized that by trying so hard to be this kind of person, to enact a certain way, right, to almost frame myself in a certain light as this mindful guy, as this really truly peaceful dude that was confident and calm, it took me further away from the desired outcome, which was terrible, right? And so I thought to myself, how do I overcome this? Like, how do I stop getting out of the step-by-step processes? How do I start actually just calming the mind and being here without overthinking everything? Because it's paradoxically, and maybe you've experienced this too, it's only when you let go of the expectations of yourself to be perfect, and your expectations of yourself to show up in any kind of like way that your mind has perceived, that's when you can really be yourself and you can relax. And my friend said this at the birthday when he said to himself, guys, I want you to all be yourselves and relax, because the more you put on a facade, the more tired you'll get at this party, and I don't want you to go home. Selfish asshole, I love you if you're watching this. But he was right. He was so right. And I thought about it and I was like, exactly. Like, I'm tired and I feel exhausted and my mind is just messed up when I am trying to be something that I'm not, when I'm trying to put on this facade, when I'm trying to be this character. And that's no good. And so I thought to myself, okay, how do I get out the mind and start letting go and being myself? And it's almost as though the universe itself spoke to me, or God, or whatever you want to call it. It just spoke to me. And this line that came to mind basically said, right, I'm paraphrasing, but it said something along the lines of, hey, wake up, the movie is still playing. Wake up, the movie is playing. Sorry, you're going to get waves now. I'm on these massive ass steps, bro. Who decided that these steps were a freaking good idea? So we're going to be surfing together, boys and ladies, if you're watching. But yeah, the line was like, hey, wake up, the movie is still playing. It's almost as though we fall asleep, right? You've seen your dad probably watching TV, right? And he's watching, like you're watching this fascinating documentary or movie, and all of a sudden this belly just falls asleep. And you're like, hey, Dad, wake up, bro. You're going to miss the good parts. You're going to miss the movie, right? That's exactly what life is like. And that line is basically what can be used to wake you up and make you realize, like, hey, it's all just happening in front of you, right? You don't need to always control the movie or the series. It's playing. It's this beautiful show and journey and artistic expression that's happening right in front of your very eyes. It's a beautiful thing. And you're missing it, bruv, because you're overthinking, right? You've probably had a stressful time in your life where you were worried about an assignment due or a relationship failing or whatever. And you'll try to watch TV to kind of take your mind off of it. But as you did that, you kept on like losing yourself in your brain, right? You were watching the show trying to distract yourself, but then you catch yourself 5 minutes later, like, you know, panicking and overthinking things. And you're like, oh shit, I just missed like 10 minutes. So you had to rewind it. I'm sure you've had the experience in the car where you're listening to one of your favorite songs and the same things happened. You have to rewind the song 5 times because you get lost in your thoughts. That's exactly the way to approach life, and to especially approach situations like I was in yesterday, when you get very caught up in the mind. And even though, yes, a lot of the spiritual teachings and a lot of the teachers preach this act of going inside, gaining clarity with your awareness, maybe they explain it in a different way and I'm misquoting them, but they often say, like, come back inside and realize the awareness is in you. I'd argue and say that if that doesn't work for you, because it doesn't often work for me, put your attention outside on the movie of life, right? And it's, like I said, going back to my experience with my friends, as soon as I stopped worrying about the way I was coming across, as soon as I stopped worrying about my own way of words and my own persona and my own behavior and how cool I thought they thought I was, is as soon as I let go of thinking about me, and putting all my attention on out there outside, on the people in the movie, on this team that I was in, on this beautiful celebration that was happening right in front of my eyes, that's when it all clicked and I just let go of myself. And that's what every spiritual teaching and teacher, I believe, tells us. Let go of the ego. Let go of yourself. Stop worrying about your own needs and your own desires. And I know that sounds toxic and like you should love yourself, fair enough. But in this context, stop worrying so much about who you are as an identity. Because it's that identity that fucks you over. It's that identity that tricks you into thinking you have to defend it, that you have to keep it built, you know? When you don't, you just need to let it go and become so present in your outside world. Be present with the people that you're around in that moment. Get in touch with reality. And all of a sudden the mind goes blank and you become more interested in other people. You become more charismatic. You let go and you start saying jokes that are a little bit risky but are more effective. It's just a beautiful thing, man. And it really does change all of your dynamics in your relationships, but with your life as a whole. If you're overthinking your journey and your growth and your path and you're trying to make all this stuff perfect, you're trying to be perfect and put up this facade, and you just want to relax and be yourself and come to awareness with the beautiful world around you, your life, right? Ask yourself that question, or tell yourself, remind yourself periodically in your brain. Say to yourself when you realize you're caught in thought again. It can be like your mindfulness practice for the week or the month to start off your 2025 the right way. Just say to yourself, hey, wake up, brother, wake up, sister. You're missing the movie, or you're missing the game. You're missing out. It's like if you're a gamer, you'll know. Some online games you can't pause, bruv. This game, you can't pause it for a second. So remind yourself, the game's going on. I better get back into the game or else I'm going to miss it. I'm going to lose. I'm not going to enjoy myself. And again, it's not about winning or losing. It's about enjoying the game of life. And if you put down the controller, the game ain't going to stop, bro. Just because you decided that you're going to take a break. The game carries on. Life goes on. So remind yourself, hey, the movie is not done. The game's still playing. And then just put your focus on the outside world, right? Remember to come back to the reality that you find yourself in. Give your fullest attention to the people that you love that are in front of you right now, instead of worrying about your own petty needs and your own petty desires and ego. And I promise you, your life's going to become so much more beautiful as a result. Wishing you the most incredible 2025, and I hope to see you in many, many more videos. I love you guys. Be safe. Love you. Bye.